The thing about music is that it's hard. It's hard to be a good musician. And, there's a way of being a musician in a limited way that has always existed. There have always been people who could play sort of in a sort of stratified part of what music is. To me, what I'm interested in, and many of the musicians that I feel lucky to be part of the community of, it doesn't even have to do with style. It doesn't have to do with the delivery method. It doesn't have to do with anything except understanding. And for me, the goal is to understand music in a complete way. And what I'm always attracted to are musicians who share that goal. And that has always been a very, very small sliver of even the general community of musicians that I kind of inhabit. There's a lot of guys who can kind of play this way, or they can play that way, or they play this way
and
for that. Awesome. But there aren't that many guys who can really play across the whole thing. And that, for me, is, the standard that has been set in the generation immediately above me. Gary Burton is an incredible example of that. He could play Ravel. He can play free, he can play fast, he can play slow, he can play on the changes, he can play out of the changes. Keith Jarrett, Herbie Hancock, Chick was like that. And to me that kind of began in a way with like Art Tatum, then Bird, Coltrane, people who kind of were transcendent of the style of this general way of improvising and sort of were addressing music in this bigger way. And for me, that's the thing. Now, what your question was about has something to do with politics, really.
Well, the world nowadays, people addressing their music to social media, to internet, and
but you know what? Good notes are good notes. And it doesn't really matter that much if it's really happening. Also, I do think we are in an era where there are people in this stratified way that I was talking about, find a place for themselves, kind of using the methods that are available to them. And that's the way it's always been, each generation sort of adapts to the technology that is available to them, and there is a new kind of way of being. And, to me, on the upper level of what you're talking about would be someone like Jacob Collier, who, to me, YouTube is his instrument. He's 1,000,000 times better on YouTube than he is live, and no offense to him. But his instrument is YouTube. His instrument is doing that. And that is significant. And he's like maybe the first real 21st century musician. And to me, it's like, you can't really argue with that. His chart on Moon River and the way he does it is absolutely at the standard that I'm talking about. And he's doing it in a way that is absolutely particular to this moment. That's fantastic. So, it doesn't really matter in a way. I think that if you have something to talk about as a musician, and I think this has always, again, been a very, very, very small percentage of the population, probably for thousands of years, that there are just a few people who manage to capture what the technology of their moment offers in a way that is transcendent of that technology, which then pushes the technology. And that's, we're in a big moment for that on a lot of levels, that musical instrument technology in general over the last 60 years has been absolutely incredible.
Well, your input included.
Well, I'm right there because my very first musical activity was to take a chord and plug it in. So, I'm right there. That's not an extra thing. That's my instrument. And,
then you invented some stuff.
Well, but that's kind of my point is that it's very natural then that's how evolution occurs. And there will be evolution. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the issue of performance is a thing. And that, to me, is something that really does not change that much. However, there are ways, which I've been also on the kind of front lines of using the technology to kind of achieve a different kind of performance. And to me, the interesting thing, and this is just me, probably because of my age, is the way of having both things, so that it's not just that and it's not just this. To me, I'm always interested in how things can coexist with each other, not just in terms of the tech, but also in terms of the music and the sound and the dynamics and everything.